Really confronting scenes yesterday. So what we know, it was at Hornsby Westfield. It was just before midday, and as you could imagine, it was actually a market day there yesterday.
Everyone's outside.
So there was all these stalls set up, all these tents set up just outside the Westfield there. The place was buzzing. It was lunchtime. There was so many people there, and to be confronted with this man who was wielding a carving knife.
It is one of those big kitchen knives like you see in like a block, one of those knife block things.
Yeah,
right.
It's not like you think, he's got a knife. You just think, it'd be like a smaller sort of knife. It's a big, confronting, very visible knife.
That's right.
And the footage I've seen, it's him lunging at the police officer, the female police officer.
Emergency.
It is very confronting. If that was me, I wouldn't know what to do.
I feel for it.
Well, that's right. So two female police officers, they've been called to the scene first. And that is when, this confrontation has happened. And the man, the 23-year-old, as we know him now, has lunged at officers and they've been forced to open fire. So 2 shots were fired. And then reportedly he didn't go down and he's lunged again. And that's when a third shot has been fired.
David has called us. He was one of the people who has filmed the footage that is being played over the news feeds at the moment. Thank you very much for calling us, David.
Morning, Rove.
And David, when were you first aware that something was going on at the shopping centre?
I was 3 minutes earlier standing where the guy was, just walking through the market and had come inside, and I was away from the windows on the first floor and heard a couple of shots. At the back of my mind, I thought they were gunshots, but it sounded like something had fallen down. There were immediately 7, 8 women running through with prams and children yelling and screaming away from the scene. So I went back over to see if any help needed to be rendered, and instantly saw the policewoman with her gun drawn at the man who was at that point then on the ground, and I started, as a photographer, filming straight away.
So, David, did the police make people around aware of the situation, or was it just kind of in the moment?
I think, from my perspective, it must have been in the moment, but given that I wasn't an actual witness to them shooting him and what was going on, I cannot be certain of that, beyond the fact that they very quickly established some level of control and then started doing the cordon within 2 to 3 minutes.
So there were 3 women that were injured, between 60 and 80. Did you see them after the shootings? And
Yeah. I walked around on the top level where there's a big glass overview looking down on the fountain area, and I only saw 2 of the women, and their wounds appeared to be quite extensive, as was the man's. There was a lot of blood on the ground, and it's clearly one of those scenes that we're not used to seeing. It was very distressing, and everyone who was in that area with me was in a lot of shock and just couldn't believe it. Very quiet and still. It was terrifying. And
this may sound like a silly question, David, but how long did it take for everything just to kind of settle and for people to kind of get back to normal? I'm seeing shots of blood that's there on the ground.
There was no normality afterwards. It was incredibly calm, and eventually Hornsby Westfield ended up clearing out. People kept leaving, and that was that for the day. It was very calm and quiet, and people obviously knew that this thing was incredibly serious. And from the policewoman's perspective, I can only imagine, despite all the training, how badly she felt for herself, and for the people who had been shot, that we're asking human people to do perfect jobs, and they can't do that all the time.
That's right.
That's exactly right. Well, David, we thank you very much for your time and for getting in touch with us to tell your story.
Thank you.